The first time our chests collided, I swear I saw my life flash before my eyes. Not because of the dance move you were rehearsing, a stupid lift that Mr. Collins, our coach, insisted on, but because it was him. Ethan Rivers. The one guy I'd sworn I'd never let within 10 feet of me, now close enough to count the freckles on his nose. "You're stiff as a board," he muttered, his breath hot against my cheek, as if it wasn't already humiliating enough that I was basically plastered to him. I wanted to shove him away, scream that I didn't belong here, that this wasn't my choice. But instead, my hands clenched tighter around his shoulders. Because if I let go, we'd both hit the hardwood. And the last thing I needed was an injury to fuel Ethan's endless arsenal of insults. I wasn't supposed to be here. A week ago, I was perfectly fine being invisible, just another junior drifting through Lincoln High, hiding in hoodies and sketching on the back of my notebooks. But then Coach Collins cornered me in the hallway, insisting I had natural rhythm. I'd laughed in his face. Big mistake. 10 minutes later, I was signed up for the damn dance team, courtesy of a deal he made with my mom. And now, I was stuck rehearsing 4 hours a day with the one person on this planet I couldn't stand. Ethan. Star of the dance team. Star of everything. Tall, charismatic, smug as hell. The kind of guy who could smirk his way out of murder charges. He wasn't just good at dancing, was poetry in motion, adored by the entire school. And he knew it, which made me despise him even more. "Relax your shoulders," he ordered, pressing his palm lightly against my back to straighten my posture. The touch was supposed to be professional, corrective. But I flinched as if he'd burned me. "Don't touch me," I snapped. His smirk widened. "Then stop looking like a scarecrow. Not my fault you can't handle basic choreography." I hated him. God, I hated him. But my heart was pounding so loud it drowned out the music blasting from the speakers. And it wasn't just from anger. That was the worst part. Ethan noticed. Of course he did. His dark eyes gleamed with something dangerous, like he'd found a crack in my armor. We pushed through the routine in silence, our bodies forced to sink in ways I never thought possible. Every spin, every lift, every stupid brush of his hand against mine felt like a battle I was losing. Because beneath the rage, beneath the constant urge to punch him in the throat, there was a truth clawing its way to the surface. And it terrified me. By the time practice ended, I was drenched in sweat and humiliation. I grabbed my bag, ready to bolt, when Ethan's voice stopped me. "You know," he said casually, leaning against the mirror with his usual effortless confidence. "For someone who doesn't want to be here, you've got some serious talent." I froze. Compliments weren't his style, at least not toward me. "What's your game?" I asked warily. "No game." He shrugged, but his gaze lingered on me longer than it should have. "Just saying. I didn't think you'd last a week. But you did." For the first time, there was no mockery in his tone. Just something softer. Something that made my chest tighten in a way I didn't want to acknowledge. I left without answering, slamming the door behind me. But his words followed me home like a shadow. The next few days blurred together, a whirlwind of rehearsals and near fights. Our arguments became routine, part of the choreography itself. He'd push, I'd snap, and somehow, in the middle of it, the dance came alive. It was electric, raw, dangerous. People started to notice. "You two have chemistry," Coach said one afternoon, clapping his hands like he'd discovered gold. "Real chemistry. If we nail this performance, state championships are ours." Chemistry. The word made me want to laugh and scream at the same time. Because he wasn't wrong. The fire between us burned too bright to ignore, and it scared the hell out of me. One night, after practice ran late, Ethan and I were the last ones left in the gym. The world outside was swallowed in darkness. The echo of our breathing, the only sound. He tossed me a water bottle, his face flushed, hair sticking to his forehead. For once, he looked less like a god and more like a boy, tired, vulnerable, real. "Why do you hate me so much?" he asked suddenly. His voice wasn't teasing. It was quiet, raw. I opened my mouth to throw back a sharp retort, but nothing came out. Why did I hate him? Because he was perfect? Because he reminded me of everything I wasn't? Or was it because every time he touched me, I felt something I didn't want to admit? I don't hate you, I said finally, my voice barely above a whisper. I just don't know how not to. The silence that followed was heavier than any argument we'd had. Ethan stepped closer, his gaze locked on mine. We were inches apart, the air between us charged. My heart hammered against my ribs. And for the first time, I didn't step back. The night of the competition arrived like a thunderstorm, loud, relentless, impossible to ignore. My stomach churned as we lined up backstage, the muffled roar of the crowd bleeding through the curtains. Everyone on the team buzzed with excitement, but I felt like I was going to puke. Not because of the performance. Not even because of the pressure. It was because of him. Ethan. We hadn't talked about that night in the empty gym, when he'd almost kissed me, or maybe I'd almost kissed him. The memory clung to me like static, making every glance, every brush of his hand, unbearable. You ready? His voice was steady, confident. But when I looked up, his eyes betrayed him. They were searching mine for something. Maybe courage. Maybe permission. I nodded because words would have betrayed me. When the lights went up and the music started, everything else disappeared. It was just us. Every step, every spin, every lift felt like setting fire to the stage. And with every beat, our walls crumbled. The hatred, the rivalry, the sharp words it all melted into something raw and unstoppable. Halfway through, there was a lift where he had to catch me, our faces inches apart. I was supposed to look past him, out to the crowd. Instead, I looked right at him. And for the first time, he didn't smirk. He didn't gloat. He just looked back like he saw I saw me. And I let him. By the final move, the applause hit like a tidal wave. The crowd roared, the judges stood, our team screamed. But I barely heard it, because Ethan's hand was still holding mine, gripping it like a lifeline. When the curtain fell, chaos erupted, hugs, tears, shouts of victory. We'd won. State champions. But all I could focus on was Ethan pulling me into the shadow of the backstage hallway. His chest heaving, his eyes blazing with something I couldn't deny anymore. Say it, he demanded, voice rough. Say what? My throat was dry, my pulse out of control. That you don't hate me. That you never did. His hand slid to the back of my neck, holding me still but not forcing me. Because I can't, God. I can't keep pretending this doesn't mean something. The world tilted. All the nights of bickering, the endless tension, the fire between us, it wasn't hate. It never had been. It was this. It was him. I don't hate you, I whispered. My chest ached, like I was ripping out the lie I'd carried for so long. I think I never could. For the first time, Ethan's cocky confidence shattered. His eyes softened, his lips parted, and then finally kissed me. It wasn't gentle. It wasn't careful. It was desperate, messy, like years of denial exploding all at once. And I kissed him back, my hands fisting in his shirt, my whole body trembling with the relief of finally giving in. When we broke apart, breathless, he rested his forehead against mine. Took you long enough, he murmured, a grin tugging at his lips. I laughed, a shaky, disbelieving sound. You're insufferable. Yeah, he said softly, brushing his thumb against my jaw. But you love me anyway. And maybe I did. Maybe I always had. The weeks that followed were a blur of whispered conversations, stolen touches, and the quiet thrill of something new. It wasn't easy, two boys in a small town, never ispit we had each other. And somehow that made the world feel less terrifying. The night after the championship, I found myself back in the empty gym, staring at the mirror, the place where it all started, where I'd sworn I hated him, only to find out hate was just another word for fear. Ethan slipped in quietly, his reflection appearing beside mine. He didn't say anything at first, just reached out, lacing his fingers with mine. You know, he said eventually, voice low and certain, this is just the beginning, right? I looked at him, at the boy who drove me insane, who tore down every wall I'd built, who made me feel alive in ways I never thought possible. And for the first time, I didn't run. Yeah, I whispered, squeezing his hand. The beginning of everything. And when he leaned in to kiss me again, I knew it wasn't the dance or the stage or the victory that mattered. It was him. It was us. Against the world, together. And somehow that was enough. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe to stay updated with the latest videos.